Hello and welcome back to episode 9 of NitroNights. I'm your host this time around, Indiana Froskurinn Black, and we have a jam-packed episode tonight. We're taking an in-depth look at the W Series, which means I have very special guest Beitske Visser sitting down with me, who's currently leading the pack in that race. We're also going to take a look at some of the amazing games from Steam that won't break the bank, and we have a jam-packed Newsflash with Tom Deacon. We'll top it off with the Showroom, and I'll see you on the other side. Jam-packed indeed, which means we are not going to waste any time. So you know him, you love him. I've still yet to meet him. Tom Deacon, show us the Newsflash.
Thank you so much, Indiana. What a great introduction. And it is great to see you back in the NitroNights studio. And it is great to be back for the NitroNights Newsflash. How many more greats will I say? It's time to find out as we start with the WTCR preseason round 5 in Macau. I said this competition was spicy. And I tell you what, over these two races, there were lots of crashes, all taking place at the Circuit de Gear. Round 5 in Macau was a gamble for every participant, where everything revolved around whether they would make it through situations like this or not. It was, however, the first victory for the Spaniard Mikel Azcona. Erlache was in second and Girolami was in third, who stubbornly, I'd love to see it, didn't let his teammate Tassi pass him by with some great defending. A championship is on the line, guys. There's no gimmies here. And Girolami made his point very clear. As I said, lots of crashes, and their race number 2 was no different. It was Norbert Mikulec from Hungary who could benefit from all that was going on as he made it to the top, and that is now back-to-back wins for him. The luckiest man, and I very rarely talk about this in the Newsflash, the luckiest man of the race was Thiago Monteiro. He managed to make it from P15 all the way to a podium finish, where he ended up in P3. He said post-race, Macau is a gamble, and he went for it. Monteiro had already scored his first podium for a Honda Civic in Macau during the FIA WTC 2012 competition, where he again, spookily, finished third. Now, mathematically, the top 7 can still win this championship. Erlache is currently on top with 157, followed by Mikulec and then Azcona. Next up, they'll be heading to Malaysia for the final round. Don't miss it. We move on to the iRacing World of Outlaws Championship, round 4 in Eldora, the USA. Blake Majulis was the man of the day at the 4th round of the iRacing's World of Outlaws MortonBuildings Late Model Championship. Not easy to say that, but I just did. Majulis managed to overtake C shortly before the end of the race and delivered the audience a thrilling night of entertainment. He won the feature race, leading P2 Evan C, who I just mentioned, by 2.5 seconds. And then that was a 3.5 second over P3 Dylan Hauser. Congratulations to Majulis. He's now got $300 in his pocket. To be honest, it's probably a backs payment, so it'll be in his account at some point. I don't know when. But anyway, let's not speculate. Let's not speculate about 2 new title releases because we can give you some information. First up, it's NASCAR Heat 5. It has been released. You'll find Chase Elliott on the front cover, and one driver you'll be able to drive as is Riley Ogle, who said on Twitter his 7-year-old self would be freaking out right now. Also, another old series reporting back after 9 years is Test Drive Unlimited, and it'll enter its 3rd lap with Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Beyond a teaser, we don't know much about what's going to happen. We do know it will play on an island, which is built into the game in a 1-to-1 scale. So stay tuned for more on that. Let's talk about 2 wheels for a second. 2020 MotoGP Esports Global Series Round 1. Williams Adrian won both races of Round 1 on Circuit de Jerez. In second place, you had Trash 73 and reigning world champion Andrew ZH in 3rd. Now, he, interesting enough, finished 7th in race 2. Not what he would have wanted, but he got T-boned in lap 1, which meant after doing quite well to begin with, he dropped down to P4. And maybe it was a setup issue for his bike that caused him to be overtaken several times more in a 9-lap race. It is a long way for him to now go to claw his way back into the series. 2 more rounds are on the way. And we move on to iRacing 24 Hours of Spa. VRS Coanda have won the 24 Hours of Spa in iRacing. Now, iRacing veteran Jeremy Bouteloup, along with Porsche Esports Super Cup champion Joshua Rogers, who also won the GT class of 24-hour Le Mans Virtual, were driving for Coanda, and they did a brilliant job. MSI Esports Red finished second, trailing with 20 seconds behind, while Mile Racing Team were in third. The event had to be separated in many different splits to handle the big amount of participants. Fernando Alonso, the 2021 Renault F1 driver, and Rubens Barrichello participated in the split event and left the tarmac victorious. Congratulations to both of those drivers. Well, there you go. That is the news flash for this week, and I think you'll agree it was great. There you go, 4 in total. Thanks for joining me for the news flash. It is back over to you, Indiana, in the studio.
Thank you so much, Tom, but I get it. It was a packed news flash, but you left out one major event, the W Series. So we're going to sit down with Beitske Visser. She's going to take me through everything that happened in the series, but first, we need to catch you all up to speed. So let's take a closer look at what went down.
Sim racing has many series and leagues, but there's only one W Series. Last week, the all-women race in iRacing went into its 5th round. Coming into it, Beitske Visser stood tall above the competition, being a full 50 points ahead of second place. In race 1 though, she didn't start in pole position, but was beaten by Marta Garcia by 0.2 of a second. As soon as the lights hit green, the fight for position 1 started. Garcia, Visser and Sidakova fought bitterly while a major crash happened in the background.
But look at this. We've got Visser and Sidakova very close behind. There's a big off then in the background there. And I think that might have been Tasmin Pepper just catching a bit too much curb there. And actually a couple of cars then into the barrier. But here we go, down in towards then the first chicane. You can see Marta Garcia went a little bit defensive then on Sidakova. But I think you'll find that Visser has tried to make a move around the outside. And well, has it worked out? No, it hasn't. So Marta Garcia then does indeed hold on. So she had to defend from 2 drivers there, Billy, and successfully did so.
Garcia managed to defend her lead till the checkered flag with Visser in second. Race 2 started off with a bang. In the reverse grid, Tasmin Pepper was in pole position and took full advantage, while a big skirmish at the start hindered the competition. Whilst Garcia fought her way up to 5th position, Visser only came in 15th. Just like in the first race, Garcia started from pole position in race 3. Visser started from 2nd position once again, but this time was beaten by only 0.04 of a second. Fights for the lead continued, but in the end, Marta Garcia managed to defend her lead and took home 2 races.
This time around the final corner then, and well, Marta Garcia, she's going to take the checker flag for the 2nd time, and well, we've got another double race winner here.
Visser came in 2nd again, with Irina Sidakova in 3rd place. Even though Garcia had a great day, she remains 3rd overall. Beitske Visser's lead is shrinking, but she's still 49 points ahead of Sidakova. If this keeps up, we could still have a nail-biter of a series.
I'm super stoked to finally get to sit down with Beitske Visser. And first and foremost, Beitske, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Perfect. Can you walk me through kind of some of the big beats of your career? Because when I was looking at the quick Google, I was like, okay, she's actually more of a real life racer than she is a sim racer. You've been karting for a majority of your life.
Yeah, so I started with karting when I was 5. And then from there slowly worked my way up to internationally. And then when I was 17, I moved into formulas. Did a bit of Formula 80 at sea. Then I drove World Series by Renault. Then I joined BMW. And since last year, I race in the W Series. And yeah, the sim racing actually only started for me about 3 months ago.
And you've actually found surprising success moving over into sim racing. And so I guess kind of starting there, because so many of our sim racers have a background in real life karting. How do you feel about like the technique or the transfer? Do you think that you were able to just kind of hit the ground running in the sim race, or is there still a steep learning curve that you're trying to figure out?
Well, there's still a lot for me to learn, but there's quite a few things which are similar, like driving style, braking techniques, all of that is quite similar. I'd say the biggest difference is in real life, we feel the car through our body, And in the sim, you need to do it by what you see and what you feel through the steering wheel. So that's something you have to adapt to as quickly as possible. So I think any real racing driver that goes on the sim for the first time just keeps spinning around, because you're just too late with the corrections in the beginning. But then once you get used to that, you start to get up there quite quickly.
Kind of moving more now than in one of the recent simulations that you participated in, W Series, of course, there was a ton of sparring and a ton of battles that were happening. In a previous interview, you talked about how you felt that Spa would be a type of track that there would be a lot of fighting in. Can you kind of walk me through that thought process and kind of how you prepared for what was going to be a very aggressive and very intense course?
Yeah, so Spa has a lot of long straights, so the slipstream is a really big effect, so it's always hard to pull away from someone. So before going into that race, I already knew that we were going to be very tight, so lots of fighting I was expecting.
Are you familiar with that course in terms of like your real life racing course? It's in Belgium, so have you ever been on that course?
Yes, Spa I've raced there a couple of times in Formula 80 at sea and in GT4. So it's a track I know.
How would you say it is racing it in real life versus in the sim? Similar, different?
I mean, probably the only difference is, but that's not just for Spa, that's for any track, is that racing other drivers. People take a lot more risk in sim racing. Like sometimes you see someone outbraking them by 50 meters or something, and you would never see someone do that in real life. So I think that's the only difference. But other than that, like overtaking opportunities, where you can overtake and that kind of stuff is the same as in real life.
Of course, there's that lack of fear element, as well as the fact that you're not sitting on millions of dollars worth of equipment that you can be more aggressive. And speaking of which, you were involved in a crash that happened off stream. I think social media was kind of buzzing about it. Can you walk me through kind of what happened in that incident?
So it was a reverse grid race, so starting from the back, and out of turn 6 or 7, I think it is. 2 cars in front of me hit each other. One of them hit the wall, and by doing that, they came flying back on track, which it happens naturally, and there was no way for me to avoid it. So I just got sent up in the air.
Is that a frustrating element about sim racing versus real life racing, that you're starting that far back? You're like, I've got a lot of placements to make up, and then suddenly a car is like spinning through the air at you?
Well, if that crash would have happened in real life, it would also be coming back on track. So that's no difference. But I just think in real life there would have been less crashes than there would be on the sim. So that makes the reverse grid races very tricky. But so far up until Spa, I was doing a good job on it. So this was just a bit unlucky.
One would only hope. Now, I have a quote from you. It says, "In racing, you have more disappointing moments than successful, often not caused by yourself, and you have to deal with that." Can you first walk me through kind of why you made this quote, and if you think that it also pertains to sim racing, or is that just something that happens in real racing? Because I'm assuming it has a lot to do with some of the barriers that are in real racing, such as the maintenance on the car or the price barriers that can keep a lot of racers out of the game because it's such an expensive sport.
I think it's also in sim racing, but the reason I said it was because, like, in racing, you can't always win. Even if you would be the quickest, doesn't mean you're gonna win. You could have technical problems out of your fault, out of your team fault, and always you need to get over that as quickly as possible. And I think in general, if you look at any driver there, I don't think there's many drivers that win more than 50% of their races. So you always have more bad moments than good moments, but the good moments just make up a lot for it.
Savoring those moments. Okay, so at this point we go into the quickfire round. I kind of quickly talked you through it, but just as a quick refresher, all you have to do is kind of answer off the top of your head as quickly as possible. We're looking for like instinct here. Okay. So first and foremost, what is your favorite racing game?
iRacing.
Okay, fair. Favorite real-life driver?
I don't really have one favorite one. I mean, I look at many drivers, but there's not one that I say, like, I really admire that one.
Interesting. Okay, your favorite car?
Like road car or race car?
Let's actually do a real life, or let's do road car and race car.
Okay, so road car, I go for BMW M2. And
Fair.
race car, I go for the W Series by Renault.
Okay. And driving blind or navigating a blindfolded person driving?
Probably navigating a driver. I've tried it on the sim and it went terrible, so neither probably.
And of course, I'm referring to you and Jamie Chadwick's adventure there. Can you kind of walk the audience through that one? You guys went on quite an adventure trying to do this.
Yeah, so one of us was blindfolded driving and the other one was giving advice. What made it a bit more difficult was that the steering wheel wasn't calibrated perfectly. But yeah, we were not very good at it. We made it around the lap, but I think if we would have done it in real life, we would have had a lot of damage.
How long did it take you to get the one lap? I like how you say they were giving advice, they weren't necessarily navigating.
How long it took, I can't even remember, but considering a normal lap there takes like 1 minute 40, I think we took like 5 minutes at least.
Well, you survived. Now, that said, we're going to quickly take a pause on this one because we're actually going to toss and show you guys some of the incredible new racing games. I know we have so big string games just sitting right on the horizon, but there are great games in Steam that you might not even recognize and ones that won't break the bank.
Racing fans can always find some cheap classics on Valve's platform Steam for PC. Beyond Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, Motocross GP or Trackmania Stadium, there's also some you might not know yet. Here's some examples under €10. Slipstream is one of those games you just have to experience for yourself. Though it looks like a Super Nintendo game, it feels very modern due to its precise controls and feedback. You drift your way to the top and try and take advantage of your opponent's slipstream. The fast sprite graphics, combined with nice handling and driving music, create a fascinating and unique flow. If you're not totally averse to 16-bit optics, give this game a go. It doesn't always have to be cars on tarmac. Get on your jet ski and pull off crazy stunts in Riptide GP Renegade. Every successful stunt gives you a boost to leave your opponents behind. If no ramps are available, use the waves. Unlock new jets and drivers, as well as new tricks and passive traits. And if you don't want to play alone, invite up to 3 friends for split-screen action or play online. Flatout 2 is a multiplayer party without compare, even after 14 years. Whether you race it out on the many different and unusual rally tracks, or let the metal bend in explosive destruction derbies, this game is pure carnage and fun. Extra modes like the Crash Test Dummy Dart game add enough variety to entertain you for some time. Blaze Rush is a top-down fun racer which lets you and your friends take on chaotic races on various planets. Human players can hop on and off with just the tap of a button. Many different vehicles with unique traits and more or less classic power-ups and weapons guarantee a good time. At least if you can swallow your pride, as the action becomes quite random very quickly. These are just a few of the many cool games you can purchase for cheap. We might even let you know about more of them in future.
I absolutely want them all. Now, I may not be a great driver in general, or not even necessarily, definitely not a racer, although sometimes I like to kid myself. But I am a great gamer, and I love racing games. Beitske, do you play any racing games, or are you mostly just the hardcore simulation, just the hardcore real life experience with racing?
To be honest, I'm not a gamer at all. Until I got this simulator, I was not gaming. So the only thing I play is iRacing, a bit of R Factor, Assetto Corsa, all the games that are similar to real racing.
Was it hard to kind of enter that world and figure things out? Because if you don't have necessarily a gaming background, I can imagine that it might be hard to get the proper equipment, get the computer set up, figure out like where you're going in. Or was it so natural because the language is the same between like the car that you're driving, the setup that you're using, and it's just a different interface?
Well, luckily with getting all my equipment, I have gotten help from BMW in getting all the good stuff, so I didn't have to figure that out on my own. And then regarding like settings and stuff, I've been getting some help from them as well.
Now, the W Series has suspended its real-life racing for all 2020, so the Esports W Series is the one that's going to be taken care of. As you look towards the future of kind of virtual sim racing, especially with the COVID situation, do you think that sim racing or esports racing is going to be taking up a bigger footprint, is here to stay? Or do you feel that when the real-life racers, the tracks start opening up more and more and the real-life racers return, that it's just kind of going to go back to normal?
Well, I think this whole COVID situation, obviously with everyone at home, everyone was driving on the simulators. I think like now, once everyone starts driving again, it's going to be a bit less, but will definitely be more than it used to be. I mean, I'm also planning like during winter and every time like between the races to spend a lot of time on my simulator, also preparing my own races. But I also enjoy doing the online races.
What do you think is the biggest advantage that you take away from the sim? Is it just getting used to how you're planning out your turns or your lines or anything like that? Is it just about practicing different techniques?
Yes, on a real race weekend, it's quite often you get to a track that you've never been before. So it's already a good help to know which way the track goes. Like quite a lot of these tracks are laser scanned, so the bumps are similar. Also doing the races, you get to try out already at which points you can overtake, and at which points you don't even need to try because it's not going to work out. So I think it just gives you a lot of head start, and there's a lot of things you can try on the simulator that then you already know the right way to go when you drive there in real life.
Now, naturally, one of the big selling points of sim racing is just the accessibility comparative to the real-life racing sport. Still, obviously, to get like the play seat and the big setup, there is quite a barrier to entry. But especially with things like the W Series, you're seeing all of these barriers unlocked and all of these different racers come together. Do you feel that the W Series is just kind of the first start and hopefully, including more women in the racing or motorsports world?
I hope so. I think W Series has already shown it's a big success. Also, like last winter, I went to a karting track, and when I used to drive myself in karting, I was always like the only one or one of the few girls there. But when I went to the track this winter, I saw so many little girls that were trying out karting that I had never seen it before. So I think it's already showing that it's paying off. And especially with sim racing, I mean, it's still not cheap to buy all of this, but I think it could help. I mean, not just for girls, for anyone that wants to start racing. You can learn a lot of the basics, like especially if you go racing into cars, braking technique is one of the most important things. So you can learn that already on the sim, and a lot of things you can prepare yourself.
Thank you so much. Beitske, you have an incredible year before you, and we're only halfway through. Can I ask you kind of like what your most immediate goals are, what your plans are for the future?
Win as many races as I can. I think my goal will be to reach Formula E. When, I don't know, but I will try everything to reach that.
Well, you have certainly already sacrificed a ton to get to where you are. I wish you all the luck. Now, at this point, we're going over into our social showroom. So what you're going to see on your screen is some ridiculous incidents because we have found some very hilarious things. Reminder, guys, that you can @ us at NitroNights. Use the hashtag NitroNights if you want to see yourself on the social showroom. But without further ado, let's see what we've got. I'm going to guess that it's going to be a crash. I've briefly had my producer show me a couple of these, and some of the racing games, especially when you're not in like the hardcore sims, are just wild. And yep, it's getting very, very wild. Oh, this looks like some of your races. I saw some of those crashes, cars are flying in the air. I'm like, Jesus. Have you played anything like that?
No, I haven't, but certainly in my races we have some crazy crashes as well.
You're playing R Factor and a car just like flies by. You're like, hey, it's normal, it's fine, keep driving. And
exactly.
Speaking of glitches and bugs or people flying around, we also did catch a, I think, random mysterious individual walking on water in one of our games. That tends to happen a lot as well. Have you got any of those glitches where the car just like leaves the track?
Fucking Jesus.
Not like that, no. Not driving on water or anything.
See Jesus just walk by. And I also think that we also get a good look at one of our rigs, as I hear the beagle in the background. Okay. Does your rig look like that? How close?
I don't have triple screens. I have a single screen, but a wide one. And I am using Fanatec.
Is it one of the ones that's curved, or do you have a flat one?
I have a curved one.
Do you think that that gives you, like, do you find yourself, like, trying to peek around the corners at all, like, just out of reflex?
A little bit, but I think you get used to that quite quickly. Yeah, you just have a bit less view than you would have in reality, but yeah, we have spotters on the simulator to tell us when there's a car left or right.
And then also, I see that you set up in your living room. Do you have is that a shared space? Do other people use it other than you and the dogs?
Well, I live here with my sister and her boyfriend, so it's just the three of us.
So what happens if someone comes by for like the Netflix and you're just like in the middle of the race? Do you just commandeer the area?
No, they don't come here to watch Netflix. They'll watch it in their room.
Okay, perfect. With that, guys, Beitske, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. I wish you all the luck in your upcoming courses. I believe you have quite a few of them left. We're about halfway through the W Series. And remember, guys, that you can check her out. Beitske, do you have anything that you want to plug or anything that you want to say to the viewers at home?
Not really. Just hopefully you'll watch my races coming up.
Perfect. And I can tell you guys, you should definitely watch because it is incredibly exciting. But that is all for us. We survived another episode of NitroNights. Be sure to tune in every single Wednesday night for us. And until then, stay safe and buckle up.